No. And we're live.
Good morning. It is June 27th, 2014, and it's a great day to be alive, a great day to be a part of this world today. And we got a good show today. We got some political topics coming up, and with that, I am going to put the show over to my co-host, John Gaslin.
Well, good morning. Like Gary said, it's always a good day to be alive. Of course, voting is coming up. Early voting is August 7th for Rutherford County, and then July 18th through August 2nd, I guess, is early voting, and you can vote for Tennessee governor, U.S. Senate, House, 4th District Rep. There's quite a number of elections, people running or offices open to be run. And then in the county, we have the mayor, trustee, sheriff, county clerk, circuit court, clerk, register of deeds. And I put a plug in. We had a show a couple months ago in the register of deeds. So go to murfreesborolive.com and catch that interesting show with the register of deeds. That was a very good show. And then they have the county commissioners, districts 1 through 21, school board zones 1, 4, and 7, road board zones 1. 1 was 5, and then circuit court judges will be 2 and 4, sessions judges 1, 2, and 3, chancellor, juvenile court judge, the DA, the public defender, judicial retention questions, and then Smyrna Town Court judge and Smyrna Town Court clerk. And we can vote for these. And the last election in May, it was one of the higher turnouts, but there were still votes, I guess, population-wise, the count was low. But the voting is, people are starting to vote a little more. Now we need to figure out what we're voting for, because it seems like when I'm talking to people, whether it be at the chamber or a coffee shop or even my clients, I'll say, well, I don't know what this person does, or I don't know what to do. Well, those are all fair questions, but with the internet and right now being an election year, the candidates are coming around to your house. My dad met Paul Johnson in his district running for county commissioner, and he really enjoyed meeting him. So to say that you don't know what to do or you can't do anything, it seems like in Rutherford County with the robocalls and stuff like that, the different actions the political candidates are taking, you can't really drive out of the driveway or get out the front door without stumbling over some political ad or person wanting to shake your hand and get your vote. November 4th of this year, of course, those same, the governor will be voted for, and then in the huge town of Eagleville, the mayor and 3 city council members will be voted. Laverne City, mayor and 2 aldermen. And then the town of Smyrna, mayor and 3 council members. And I did get this from the Rutherford County election schedule off their website. And with this, maybe we'll take a little bit of a break from the political and go to the events calendar. Gary, are you there?
One moment. Okay, here we are. The events calendar coming up, something that is very important, and especially if you are an anti-abortion advocate. There is a 5K run tomorrow, and it's to bring awareness about Vote Yes on Amendment 1. It's going to be at Franklin Road Christian School campus, which, if you need the address, it's 3 Murfreesboro, Tennessee 37128, and it's called the Run for Life race. It's a 5K, you know, so it's not a very long run, and I think it's available for anybody. But all the proceeds go to Yes on Amendment 1. And so just to give you an idea of what that is, Yes on 1 is a bipartisan amendment that passed both the Tennessee House and Senate by supermajorities and is on November's ballot. And Tennessee's Right to Life, Family Action of Tennessee, and Yes on 1 are all sponsoring the event. So that would be a great event to go to support this cause and to get that taken care of. Just some other things coming up is, especially since we have 4th of July coming up. Next Friday, actually, is July 4th. So there are a few things happening on that day that maybe you need to be aware of. There's a Red Cross blood drive at the Red Cross. The farmers market will be open on Lane Agri Park. McKnight's Park, or Sportscom, will be having a 4th of July opening. You know, so they'll be open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Laverne Veterans Memorial Park will also be having a celebration from 6 p.m. To 10 p.m. And then there's a Friday Night Live on 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at Rutherford County Courthouse. So those are just a few things going on that are of note, particularly on 4th of July. So if you want to get something to do or have something to do, those are great opportunities to just go out and be involved in the community.
I did notice something that I pulled something off the internet about fireworks. We like fireworks at our house, and after growing up, my throat is sore, so I'm going to chew gum and try to talk at the same time, which is usually trouble. Growing up outside of Washington, D.C., we enjoyed going to the National Mall and watching the fireworks. But something I did not know, Gary, that water boils, of course, at 212 degrees. Cakes bake at 350, and wood burns at 575 degrees Fahrenheit. Most sparklers and fireworks are 1,200 degrees, which is 300 degrees higher than glass melts at 900. So one thing to be very careful about is how to handle fireworks. In one of this paper it says, leave fireworks to the professionals. Well, if we did that, we'd have no more funny videos. Because I like watching them when they say, hey, fellas, watch this. And then the end ends with, don't tell mama. But got to play with fireworks. Just be careful to keep all your fingers and toes.
Are you trying to say that when I was a teenager and we would shoot fireworks at each other, that was a bad idea?
Man, those Roman candles would go a long way when you're holding them.
I mean, we even took like Saturn missiles and would just, because those things, you know, you get like a whole bunch of them in one thing, you know, we'd just be shooting them at people, and we would even use the mortar rounds. Instead of putting them in the tube, we would actually use that as kind of like our makeshift grenade and throw them at each other. I mean, we were doing some pretty dumb things. It's surprising that we didn't, you know, blow off a hand or anything when I was a kid. But we do have a friend, though. He actually lost a lot of hearing in one ear because of a firework going off by his face. That is, I guess, one person who kind of became a casualty.
Well, you know, they always say if you sleep with pigs, you'll get dirty, and there's a couple other sayings but yes, when you mess with fire, you can get burned. Another thing is Tuesday, August 5th, from 5 to 8 p.m. at Veterans Memorial Park is the National Night Out Against Crime. And going into August, here in Rutherford County, we have Howl at the Moon 5K run. Starts at 8 p.m. on a Friday evening, August 22nd. And one thing I do like, the Old Timers Festival, Friday and Saturday, September 12th and 13th at Veterans Memorial Park. And then in Laverne, they will feature carnival rides, great food, craft artisans, and local organizations and business, providing information, drawings, and more. Also in Laverne, Trail of Tears, Saturday, October 25th, 2 to 4 p.m. at that same park, Veterans Memorial Park. The annual trick or treat around the park is a great event for children of all ages. And of course, November 11th at 11 a.m. at the gazebo, smoking at City Hall in Laverne, there is the Veterans Day of Remembrance ceremony. And then they have a Christmas tree lighting in Laverne Saturday, September 6th at 6 p.m. So, producer Ken, what are you playing with fire?
Hey, watch this.
Gary, I don't think can see it, but Ken's has incense going on, and
Is he playing with effects, the Google effects or something?
no, he's playing with real effects. You'll have to go back and watch this one. Maybe something you and Ken will jump in on here is I went on trying to find political-party.net, and it has all of the political parties in the U.S. that are registered. And let me just read a couple of them off, and you can chime in at any time. And it has a little spit about each one as their website describes it, meaning that organizations. America First Party. The party advocates nationalist policies, withdrawal from UN and NATO, temporary ban on immigration, and it rejects any form of gun control and espouses traditional values of family and faith. Christian Liberty Party. The ultra-conservative party's ideological is based on tenets of Christianity. It seeks to frame national political debates and thereafter the governing of the nation under the principles of Christianity and the words of the Bible. I don't know that there's anything wrong with some of that. Citizens Party of the United States. Citizens Party, which argues for the immediate reform of the national election system, advocates national infrastructure reinvestment, protectionist economic policies, a less expansive foreign policy, a stricter enforcement of immigration laws. It also supports same-sex marriages and marijuana decriminalization. They had me going, I think, until the last part of that one. Here's one that might get somebody's response. Communist Party of the USA. The Communist Party aims to protect and promote the rights of working class Americans, regardless of gender, creed, or sexual orientation. Yeah, communists are always for homosexuals. Against the oppressive and exploitation of capitalist system and the ultra-right. The party is also an advocate for substantial environmental policies. Click here for more information on that.
Don't we already have a Communist Party, though?
Yeah.
Isn't it in power now?
There's a couple of them going, yeah.
Okay, send all hate mail to John at
1-800-555-1212.
You know what? Oh, do you have more? What was that site again, John?
Jump in.
Can you give me that site again? What was it called?
Political-party.net.
Well, one of the things I think about with the Communist Party is that they claim about fighting for the proletariat, as if you want the technical term, as written by the Communist Manifesto. Which, if you look at how it really turns out, the proletariat are in line for all day long just to get a cup of sugar, while the people who are the leaders, they don't have to wait in line. So, they talk about the capitalists oppressing the proletariat, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's just absolutely insane, and people who don't see the realistic of communism. And all communism, in my book, it's still capitalism. Just the capital is under control of a select few people who happen to get all the benefits and all the bells and whistles while everybody else gets screwed over. And said, when in capitalism, it's like, okay, everybody has an opportunity to be in control of as much capital as you want. And I think that's more true to real life and how the universe works. So that's my opinion on that particular one.
I always thought communism worked as long as they didn't run out of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think communism can work if the people like it. Democracy or a republic can work, but I think the blend of the two is where we have issues, and I think that's what we're seeing now. A lot of more liberal thinkers lean towards a communist worldview, wanting the good parts of that, but they're just not congruent with the good parts of capitalism or a republic.
Well, you know what? I saw a funny quote the other day that I think really hits up this liberal point of view and a lot of these more communistic type beliefs, which is all liberals are rich people convincing poor people that their problems are because of other rich people. And it's just a means to, I want to be in control of you, so I'm going to convince you that these are your people are your problem, and vote for me so I can actually be the one in control of you and telling you what to do, where to eat, how much food you can get, etc.
So to summarize, you're saying that they're blowing smoke.
Basically.
And that would really be funny, Gary, if you could see that Ken had his incense throwing in front of the monitor. Well, it's working well in California and a couple other states where all the policies of taxing more and spending more, and now California is bankrupt essentially, and several of our other states that are implementing or trying to pay for these policies, they're blowing a lot of smoke too. And and the mirrors aren't working either.
I think Michigan is probably one of the best examples of what those types of decisions ultimately lead to. You have a bunch of dead towns. For example, like Flint used to be 500,000 people strong. Now it's 100,000. They're just neighborhoods that are just nobody lives in.
Oh, I thought that's just because they like the University of Michigan. I didn't know it was politics.
Again, hate mail to John at...
Yeah, that's 1-800-555-1212. Here's a constitutional party. Is the third largest party in the United States by registered members. The party seeks to restore the American constitutional republic. And I think that kind of goes to what Ken said earlier, and that was it doesn't seem to work when you blend two systems that are arguably oppose each other. And we have a system that works in this country. I don't know that we need too many more laws. Maybe fine-tune a couple that we have, but we have enough laws on the books. When you look at the Constitution, a couple pages, a couple words here and there, and that was good enough. Now, I don't know that times have changed all that much that we need that many more laws, in my opinion, and it ought to be yours.
Well, I mean, I think that's, but I think that hits up on something important too. Is that um, laws don't make people better. It doesn't make people good. It doesn't make people right. It just all it does is produce more regulations and more opportunity for people to break laws. And that's not to say that we shouldn't have a law where we really do need a law. But I'll give you an example of one that I actually chimed in on when they were throwing around the idea of not allowing kids to work on their own parents' farms who were under the age of 18, or I think it actually may have been under the age of 16. Because I mean, a lot of kids who grew up on a farm. I mean, they start working with their parents pretty young, and so the government was talking about meddling once again and regulating because it could be dangerous for that child. Well, it's like this kid could have danger just riding their bike down the street and get hit by a car. And it's just that idea of that the government thinking, I know what's best for you. You can't make good decisions on your own, so I'm going to make a law to protect you from yourself. Which, once again, I think it's just absolute ridiculousness. And I have a huge problem with, wanting more and more laws to regulate things. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't need the government to save me from myself. I can make my own choices. I'm an adult.
Well, here's the next party. The Democratic Party advocates social justice grounded in modern progressivism. There's an ism. So what were you saying about making more laws protecting people?
Oh, goodness.
The Democratic Party advocates a social justice. So who gets to run social justice?
Yeah.
What?
It's social justice is like based on what they think is correct social justice.
I like my social justice. I'll interject something here, and this shows us how, at least shows me how I need to be more careful sometimes. I was taking one of our children to school or somewhere, or recently, not to school, and on the radio was talking about the Marine that is locked up in Mexico. And one of our children said, Dad, what would you do? And I said, well, I'd call, tell them to release him. And then when they said no, I would say, how many planes do we have, military planes, do we have full of fuel? We have a lot of troops that are close to the border. I would just say, we're going to do a scorched earth policy. We would go get that Marine and bring him back. We may figure out some justice here when he gets back, but that guy would not be sitting in another place. It just wouldn't happen. May not be reelected, and I don't feel like if I ran for president, I'd be elected the first time. But that guy would not be there.
Yeah, so. It reminds me of when Reagan, in his time, I can't remember which country it was, but we had
Iran.
people. Yeah, there you go. And he actually went and did something about it. And I think about I think those days right now are just not here. And I think
what happened too is, of course, Carter was president, and I believe that they were in there for nearly 500 days as hostages, and Carter did, if I remember right, and it pains me to say this, did try to have some sort of rescue, but the helicopters, and it was a botched mission. I don't know how well it was planned, or the sand and some of the things affected the mission, but Reagan said when he is in office, he would go get them. As soon as he was sworn in, I believe in the first 30 minutes after his swearing in, the hostages were on a plane and wheels were up. Something like that.
Yeah, I remember that. That's good. That's when we had some influence in the world. And as soon as Uncle Ronnie got voted in, they decided to change their mind. I think there was something else. Who was it? Was it Idi Amin or somebody? One of those African dictators. We had some kind of operation going on, and they didn't want our planes to fly.
France wouldn't let us.
Was it France? Okay.
France wouldn't let us fly over.
Yeah, France wouldn't, and then Their embassy was accidentally targeted. Man, I hate when that happens. Nothing against the French, mind you. But, you know.
They do have the French fries.
True.
Actually, French fries came from Belgium.
I've been to Belgium. They have good waffles.
So it's the Democratic Party.
And they do have good waffles in the tube, as they call it, the subway, on those carts. And it was amazing, the waffle that they had. And we joked about the waffles. And the Belgian franc, we call it the bullfrog. We had a good time in Belgium. Had a chance to go to France. Didn't even go to France. Not a big fan of France. People probably are very nice, but their government officials are not on my favorite list, and so far they haven't called to ask me my opinion, so I'm sure they're not worried about that either.
Yes, pas de problème.
Now, did they ever drop that 90% tax on the wealthy or something?
I don't know, but this pains me to say the French, if the news reports are right, which there's a huge fall in my thinking right there, but years ago the French let the Muslims keep their whatever that garb is that they wear on, and now the French are cracking down on some of the Muslim-related issues, and we're not. So I don't know. That kind of says a lot right there. That even if the French are doing it, we're in trouble. Freedom Socialist Party is principally a socialist feminist party, although it also champions causes of social and sexual minorities. Social and sexual minorities, the working class and immigrants. The party is an advocate of the socialist revolution. That pretty much covers that one. Here's one I'm sure we would all join right away. The Green Party, which rejects any form of corporate sponsorship or funding, is committed to preservation of democracy, the environment, and social justice through a non-violence. Independent American Party is a Christian right party advocating social conservatism in the governing of the nation and states. The party strongly supports enhanced states' rights and the Second Amendment. It also strictly opposes any form of federal taxation.
That sounds good to me.
I'm not for taxes, but I don't see how we can have a military or certain activities without some taxes.
Yeah, I think.
But I think I like the socialist or the communist view on taxes. Get it from somebody else, not me. Justice Party. The center-left seeks to affect change through social and economic justice generated at grassroots level. It also uniquely suggests party members be guided to its 10-point core values: justice, integrity, respect, being see-through. I cannot talk. Transparency, collaboration, rationale, effectiveness, farsightedness, human rights, and rule of law. Well, how do you make a rule of law when everybody gets their own way? I think we had that time period. It was the Dark Ages. Modern Whig Party, as opposed to the old Whig Party. The centrist party leans to the right on physical issues and to the left on social issues. I had one of these when I was little, Weeble Wobbles. It seeks to build itself into a viable third-party alternative and rejects attempts to be labeled as to label its political ideology. Okay, I stand for nothing. Vote for me. Hey, we've got all of those up there now. I wonder how many of our people are secretly part of them.
The Whigs? The New Whig Party?
No, it'd be the Modern Whig Party.
Or Modern Whig Party, I'm sorry. Well, I have an uncle actually who ran for a state seat in Washington State, but that's actually kind of how he thinks. He actually is more right in his fiscal beliefs, but more left in his social beliefs. But I don't think he's never mentioned anything about being a part of a modern Whig Party.
Get back to us on that.
Okay.
Coming up, peace. It's old turning half of 90. It's hard turning half of 90. Peace and Freedom Party. No, I'll skip it. As it reads on their website, the party seeks to end oppression and discrimination against women, sexual and social minorities. It also is an advocate of indexing minimum wage to cost of living, a universal basic income system, free education, stronger union rights, and converting the national economy from a military to a peace-oriented one. I was waiting for the crickets or somebody to start singing, "Oh, Switzerland." Oh, no, something like whatever Switzerland. Converting the national economy from a military to a peace-oriented one. How do you do that? I didn't know our economy was based on the military.
Yeah, it's funny. I think about, I was in an argument with, or actually watching two friends in an argument about how much we spend on the military, but it's actually not the main part of our spending. It's actually social, well, that's not the word I'm trying to look for.
Social programs.
Yeah, it's basically the social programs is the main thrust of our spending. The military is actually pretty small in comparison. So I think it's just funny people's ignorance. And it's very information. It's on the government websites where you can find all this information.
Oh, well, then I believe it if it's on the government website.
Sorry,
I know what you're talking
I was
about.
pouring some coffee.
Reform Party aspires, I like that word, aspires, to create a federal government that is physically responsible and with high ethical standards. It advocates a balanced approach to healthcare, energy, and foreign policy, guided by principles established in the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence. The moderate party has no official stance on social issues as it believes the priority should be given to the economy and national security.
And that's the modern party?
That's the Reform Party.
You said? Reform Party. Okay.
But if we don't pay attention to social issues, how do you do anything else?
I don't know.
That's one thing that I like the way our country used to be, in the sense that the people who had, and I don't know the politically correct way to say it, when they're either deformed or mentally unstable or whatever it is, they can't help themselves. That's what makes our country different from somebody else. We will take care of those people. But if you have 10 fingers and 10 toes and a nose, you can get out there and work.
Mm-hmm.
You get out there and work. I don't know how you not pay attention to social issues. Producer Ken, your smoke has stopped.
So, are they kind of getting in the opinion of, the government really doesn't need to have any say in a social issue because, what business is it of the government to say whether or not, to be in gay rights or any of these other issues because, what you do at your own home is your business, not government's. Is that what they're getting at?
I only printed out the first paragraph of whatever they had on political-party.net. So I'm not going to speak for them any more than they would speak for me. But we can go to that website, and it'd be interesting maybe to pick a few of these and see how they go, more about them. The Republican Party is known as an advocate of American conservatism, espousing, is that like espousing the role of religion, nationalism, and economics at its core.
Cool.
The bark that was heard around the world. Excuse me. The United States Marijuana Party, and every time I've been seeing the smoke, and I've been waiting to get to this. I'm glad our hour is almost up, but we can get into this one. The Marijuana Party is a single-issue party. One brain cell left. The Marijuana Party is a single-issue party seeking to end the prohibition of marijuana and the drug war. How do you... I wish I had the writers and the staff that those late night comedians had. Man, you could go for all night on this one. A single issue party. That's all you can think about.
How do you get off track with that one?
Yeah. Well, it makes sense to me. You get stoned out of your mind and you just stare at the TV for 10 hours. Sure. What else you got to worry about?
The United States Pirate Party. Platform is centered on intellectual property rights reform, especially on the length of copyrights. It advocates strict compliance to individual piracy and is opposed to legislations that attempt to circumvent its right. They should join up with the NRA. Then they'd have the ability to protect their rights.
It's kind of funny to me that we have all these parties, if you really think about it, because a lot of these little sub-parties, in the end, when it comes election time, they're not voting for the Communist Party of the U.S., or they're not voting for the marijuana party or whatever else it is. Ultimately, people end up voting either Republican or Democrat for the most part. So it's kind of funny, all these parties just ended up kind of being blanketed by one of those two parties anyway.
Yes, and rounding out the parties in our life here on Murfreesboro Live is one big party. Independent American Party is a Christian right party advocating social conservatism in the governing of the nation and states. The party strongly supports enhanced... Did we go over this one? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Enhanced...
We did go over a couple of them that were Christian-based.
And Second Amendment... Oh yeah, we did. Okay, here's the Justice Party. The center-left party seeks to change through social... Oh, we did that one. The last one, here's one I didn't check off. The Libertarian Party advocates natural rights, smaller government, non-interventionist interventionist. We should stay out of foreign affairs. Some people think you should just have an affair anyway. And physical conservatism. What was that?
Drama.
Sounded like somebody sat on a whoopee cushion over here. Not me. Well, it seems like what you said, and I noticed that here in Rutherford County, of course, where's that sheet? Somewhere I had back in May, on my birthday, we voted in the Republican Party, or the Republican Party had their primary. Several people didn't, they're going as an independent, so they do not have to spend money on primaries. They can just wait for the general election. Very rarely does an independent get elected. I can think of one, and now I just can't remember his name. In the Northeast, it was a Democrat, and he was for the war, and everybody... Do you remember, Ken?
No.
Anyway, and he went from a Democrat to an independent, and he won re-election, I think as a senator.
I think Massachusetts over the last election didn't they have a few independent people elected?
Who cares about that?
Good point.
No, they may have, but statistically, like you were saying, though, Gary, I don't believe very many people that are independents ever get elected.
No, it's not often. I mean, even when you look at people like Ron Paul, even though he is actually a libertarian, he still runs under the Republican, format. So I think a lot of them even do that. They just kind of run under the big parties anyway. With their
what do you think about the Tea Party? They just beat out Eric Cantor.
I'm more for the Tea Party values personally. I don't like big government. I don't like, like I said earlier, I don't think the government needs to save me from myself. So I lean more towards the Tea Party beliefs myself.
I don't disagree with the Tea Party. One thing I'm concerned about is we have people that have been in Washington and the way Washington runs, and they get into the smoke thing is just funny. When they get into the government and they start getting on the committees, and the longer they're there, the higher they are on a committee, so they can become a chair if that party is in power, and we start overturning these people or throwing them out. When you start to get to where you can chair the committees, that's when you start you can get rid of laws or redoing things. And just throwing somebody out and then losing your spot on the committee and having a junior senator or congressman come in, very little influence there.
Yeah.
That boring, huh?
Well, I think it's getting past 11 o'clock, so...
I think the National Archives are going to keep these chat box notes that we've got going on, and they come in and. But yes, it's the witching hour, and I know we have other things to do, and people might not hear clicking, but they might hear crickets as we get more boring. But why don't you wrap it up, Gary, and we'll see about having a show for. Well, next week is the 4th of July. So we'll have to see about
Yeah.
that.
I'll be out of town, but that doesn't mean we might not be able to work something out. We'll just have to see how that goes. But with that, we hope you do have a good 4th of July. Remember to be safe with fireworks. Don't drink and drive, and celebrate the beginning of our country. Thank you.